Story 1, Love, Wealth and Success. A woman came out of her house and saw 3 old men with long white beards sitting in her front yard. She did not recognize them. She said, "I don't think I know you, but you must be hungry. Please come in and have something to eat."
They asked, "Is the man of the house home?"
She said, "No, he's out."
They replied, "Then we cannot come in."
In the evening when her husband came home, she told him what had happened.
He said, "Go tell them I am home, and invite them in."
The woman went out and invited the men in.
They replied, "We do not go into a house together."
She wanted to know, "Why is that?"
One of the old men explained, "His name is Wealth," he said, pointing to one of his friends, and said, pointing to another one, "He is Success, and I am Love." Then he added, "Now go in and discuss with your husband which one of us you want in your home."
The woman went in and told her husband what was said. Her husband was overjoyed.
"How nice," he said. "Since that is the case, let us invite Wealth. Let him come and fill our home with wealth."
His wife disagreed. "My dear, why don't we invite Success?" Their daughter-in-law was listening from the other corner of the house.
She jumped in with her suggestion. "Would it not be better to invite Love? Our home will then be filled with love."
"Let us heed our daughter-in-law's advice," said the husband to his wife. "Go out and invite Love to be our guest."
The woman went out and asked the 3 old men, "Which one of you is Love? Please come in and be our guest." Love got up and started walking toward the house. The other 2 also got up and followed him. Surprised, the lady asked Wealth and Success, "I only invited Love. Why are you coming in?"
The old men replied together, "If you had invited Wealth or Success, the other 2 of us would have stayed out. But since you invited Love, wherever he goes, we go with him. Wherever there is love, there is also wealth and success."
Story 2, Poor or Rich. One day, a rich dad took his son on a trip to a poor village. He wanted to show his son how the people in the village lived. They spent time on a farm of one of the poorest families. At the end of the day, the dad asked, "Did you see how poor they are? What did you learn?" The boy answered, "We have a dog, they have a 4. We have a pool, they have a river. We buy food and they grow theirs. We have walls to protect us, they have friends." After they left, the boy wanted to tell his dad the truth. "Well, thanks for showing me how poor we are," said the boy.
Story 3. Who would like this $20 bill? A well-known speaker started his seminar by holding up a $20 bill. In the room of 200, he asked, "Who would like this $20 bill?" Hands started going up. He said, "I am going to give this $20 to one of you, but first, let me do this." He proceeded to crumple the $20 note up. He then asked, "Who still wants it?" Still, the hands were up in the air. "Well," he replied, "what if I do this?" He dropped it on the ground and started to grind it into the floor with his shoe. He picked it up, now crumpled and dirty. "Now, who still wants it?" Still, the hands went into the air. My friends, you have all learned a very valuable lesson. No matter what I did to the money, you still wanted it because it did not decrease in value. It was still worth $20. Many times in our lives, we are dropped, crumpled, and ground into the dirt by the decisions we make and the circumstances that come our way. We feel as though we are worthless, but no matter what happens or what will happen, you will never lose your value. Dirty or clean, crumpled or finely creased, you are still priceless to those who love you. The worth of our lives comes not in what we do or who we know, but by who we are. You are special. Don't ever forget it.
Story 4. Never fight over trifles. It was high summer. A traveler hired a donkey and set out on a journey. The owner of the donkey was following behind to drive the beast. At midday, they decided to take rest for some time, but couldn't find any shady place around. So, the traveler decided to rest in the shade of the donkey. But the owner didn't let him do so, as he himself wanted to sit in its shadow. The traveler said, "How can you refuse me the shadow? I have paid you money after all." "But you have paid for the ride, not for resting in his shadow," retorted the owner. So, an argument followed between the two. When the donkey saw that the owner and the hirer were busy fighting, he took to his heels, and was soon out of sight.
Story 5. Better bent than broken. Once a huge oak tree stood on the bank of a river. It was well nourished by the water of the river. Naturally, it was very strong and had a thick stem. Just nearby grew some reeds with thin but flexible stems. They stood almost half in water and had flourished well too. One day, strong winds blew. The tree, though huge and strong, broke from the middle and was thrown across the stream just among the reeds. On the other hand, the tree was very surprised to see that the reeds suffered no harm at all. The oak could not make out the reason of the safety of the reeds and asked them, "How is it that, you being frail and slender, managed to face the gale without any harm, but I, strong enough, have been broken?" The reeds replied, "You were proud of your strength and refused to bend. So you broke while we bowed and yielded to the gale and were spared."
Story 6. A coward can't teach courage. Once there lived a hind in a forest. She had a son who had grown very young and strong. She was very happy to see his stout body and branched strong horns, and thought, "Stags have powerful horn. Why should they be afraid of hounds, wolves then? It's sheer cowardice. I would never like my son to do it at all." After some time, the hind's son came there. The hind wanted to teach him to be courageous. She said, "Son, you have a stout body and strong horns. So, you must not run away from hounds and wolves. Don't be a coward." "Okay, Mom, I won't," said the stag. Just then the mother and the son heard the bark of the hounds. The hind got ready to run away when her son asked her to say on. She said, "You may, but I have no horns." Saying so, she ran as fast as she could. The mother herself was a coward and was teaching courage to her son. What a satire!
Story 7. The Jay and the Peacock. A jay venturing into a yard where peacocks used to walk, found there a number of feathers, which had fallen from the peacocks when they were molting. He tied them all to his tail, and strode down towards the peacocks. When he came near them they soon discovered the cheat, and striding up to him pecked at him, and plucked away his borrowed plumes. So the jay could do no better than go back to the other jays, who had watched his behavior from a distance. But they were equally annoyed with him, and told him, "It is not only fine feathers that make fine birds." Story 8. The Mischievous Dog. There was once a dog who was so ill-natured and mischievous that his master had to fasten a heavy wooden clog about his neck to keep him from annoying visitors and neighbors. But the dog seemed to be very proud of the clog, and dragged it about noisily as if he wished to attract everybody's attention. But he was not able to impress anyone. You would be wiser, said an old acquaintance, to keep quietly out of sight with that clog. Do you want everybody to know what a disgraceful and ill-natured dog you are? Notoriety is not fame.
Story 9. Friendship is a strong weapon. It was hot summer. A lion went to a pool to drink water. Just then a pig also came there to quench his thirst. Both of them wanted to drink first. They looked at each other with bloodshot eyes, and attacked each other with so much anger that soon they started bleeding. Feeling tired, both stopped for a while to be fresh. Suddenly, they heard the screams of vultures. They saw that a large number of vultures were looking at them with longing eyes. In no time, both the beasts understood that the vultures were waiting for one of them to be killed by the other, so that they might feed on his dead body. So both of them became friends, quenched their thirst and went away. Thus, their friendship saved their lives.
Story 10. The Owl and the Grasshopper. The owl always takes her sleep during the day. Then after sundown, when the rosy light fades from the sky, and the shadows rise slowly through the wood, out she comes ruffling and blinking from the old hollow tree. Now her weird hoo-hoo-hoo-oh echoes through the quiet wood, and she begins her hunt for the bugs and beetles, frogs and mice she likes so well to eat. Now there was a certain old owl who had become very cross and hard to please as she grew older, especially if anything disturbed her daily slumbers. One warm summer afternoon as she dozed away in her den in the old oak tree, a grasshopper nearby began a joyous but very raspy song. Out popped the old owl's head from the opening in the tree. That served her both for door and for window. "Get away from here, sir," she said to the grasshopper. "Have you no manners? You should at least respect my age and leave me to sleep in quiet." But the grasshopper answered saucily that he had as much right to his place in the sun as the owl had to her place in the old oak. Then he struck up a louder and still more rasping tune. The wise old owl knew quite well that it would do no good to argue with the grasshopper, nor with anybody else for that matter. Besides, her eyes were not sharp enough by day to permit her to punish the grasshopper as he deserved. So she laid aside all hard words and spoke very kindly to him. "Well, sir," she said, "if I must stay awake, I am going to settle right down to enjoy your singing. Now that I think of it, I have a wonderful wine here, sent me from Olympus, of which I am told Apollo drinks before he sings to the high gods. Please come up and taste this delicious drink with me. I know it will make you sing like Apollo himself." The foolish grasshopper was taken in by the owl's flattering words. Up he jumped to the owl's den, but as soon as he was near enough so the old owl could see him clearly, she pounced upon him and ate him up. Flattery is not a proof of true admiration. Do let flattery throw you off your guard against an enemy.